Testing, testing. Welcome to the stream. I need to return back on my audio because I spent a long time grinding mirror dungeons. And I normally have my audio off whilst doing that. So let's just quickly... There we go. We are going to be jumping straight into the new update with twining threads. Most likely not going to be able to get through all of it, mainly because doing this really hurts my damn throat. So yeah, good thing I don't stream on Sundays, or else it would be very painful and very hard to do another stream. But meh. I'm just going to quickly make sure something works. Yep, I can see both Twitch and YouTube chat, if anyone types, on the rare occasion. Hey yo, the other Sinclair. And my boy Pablo is crying. Rip my boy. Funeral. I should wear my glasses. A funeral was held for Martin and the LCE researchers today. I thought I'd seen more than my fair share of death throughout my journey with the sinners. But never before had I witnessed this many people gather in one place to mourn the deceased. Together, the unfamiliarity made me feel a bit out of place. Am I doing this right? Most of the sinners seemed to be feeling that similar sense of being out of their element as well. Some of them were asking Mersault, apparently the most knowledgeable of them all when it comes to funeral process and etiquette, all manner of questions for pointers. Expressing respect is the primary purpose. Hand placement and gestures are unimportant if that objective can be accomplished. Hey, where do I put this? Beneath the third pillar to the right. Can't any of you quit chatting for 1 second? Have you all forgotten the instruction to carry yourself with solemn propriety and the befit the occasion? Cut me some slack. I haven't been to a funeral all that much. I mean, I did tell you to read the manual. I even underlined all the important parts for you. Why does she have a manual for everything? Like, damn. Grown sorry-ish. The wall of text was just too much for me. My focus started fizzling out from page 30 onwards. Hadn't every sinner here attended a funeral before, back when we set foot in the grim manor in T-Court? Thou speak of the funeral held in young Heathcliff's manor. Dost thou not the one befit of the dead? Befit of the dead? I mean, someone had to have died, because there wouldn't have been a property dispute big enough to involve the oath office or association notarization. Otherwise, I've said this time and again, but it was just an intentional anonymity to preserve family strife. Intentional anonymity, is it? If the situation was indeed as thou sayest, then there was no helping it forsooth. Yet 'tis a pity that the dead hasn't named at their own funeral. The name of the deceased was... It was Catherine's funeral. She was a very dear to Heathcliff. I have thoroughly reviewed the past 5 years' worth of local newspapers pertaining to the matter, yet no such name relevant to the case was identified, manager. It's fine, Clockhead, at least you remember. That's good enough, innit? I've had It had to be the golden bows infused somewhere along the way. Everyone's memories of the events at Wuthering Heights had been warped. G'day, Eliza. I am doing well. Yeah, welcome back. We are playing Limbus Company. We are currently in the LCE morgue. The sinners seemed to think that the golden bow had always been there in the manor, and that Nellie was coaxed into stealing it by Herman. Linton, in their mind, was now a grieving brother who had been conducting research for his dead sister's sake. Just started, but it's going well so far, I believe. I've recording the stream as well, so hopefully I can get some clips out of it, because I really have been lacking on posting clips. Nobody questioned it, not Don Quixote, not Faust. Every single sinner believed the twisted version of the memory as if it was a proven fact. Heathcliff and I gave up trying to correct them. Instead, we just check in on each other's memories every now and then. YouTube and TikTok. Because if there's something that he and I realized, it was that anything tied to Catherine had already been painted over, every detail gilded and glossed over with the glow of the bow. The point is, how should I put this? The circumstances of the funeral didn't exactly leave us with room to properly express our condolences back then. Between Heathcliff running on a rampage and that Hindley guy bent on interfering with the execution of the will, I assume the sort of impediment was pretty common stuff for funerals, but apparently not, huh? Sure, white events. As well. It is clutchskelly. Clutch space skelly, because I don't know why there's a space in between them. Oh, my eyes. No, well, I think it's actually rare to see a place that follows proper funeral procedures. I've travelled around quite a bit myself, but I can't confidently say that I've ever been to a legitimate funeral. The one at Wuthering Heights was one of the more proper funerals, if only for pretending to have a process. The same. Yeah, it's the same, basically. Technically, my Twitch came second. So, my Twitch name's the same as my YouTube name. Yeah, I'm also streaming on YouTube. They at least prepared a coffin and even had a formal reading of the will. It seems funerals are far from being an everyday custom in the city. I mean, most bodies are thrown out the window for the waves to carry away. You can't really have a funeral if the body's swept away. Funerals are considered a rather extravagant practice here as well. Corporations are not eager to grant time off just because an irrelevant someone has died, and the price of real estate seldom makes it viable to buy land and erect memorial houses on it. Then, what other options do people usually have? Well, we used to just leave them where they died, and after one night's sleep, the bodies were gone just like that. Better than paying loads of money to bury them somewhere just to have that stir up a load of draft rumours there. Rumours? You know, rumours about there being valuables buried with the bodies, or an arm being some fancy prosthetic, all that rot. Better to let the dead go in peace than to bury them in a grave just for some sod to later desecrate it. In Hongjiang, people tend to set up graves if they have enough room to spare, of course. There wasn't a guarantee they wouldn't lose the burial room by the next restructuring day. Ah, thank you, Lena Thompson. Yay, thank you. I really wish my stream widget would be working because a notification would have played. But I've got no idea why it's not working. And it's very annoying. It's restructuring day. Hoheim scoffed and hung his head. Otious foolishness, all of it. Comforting the soul of the departed, a never mendacity. All those funds so carelessly squandered, all for the purpose of furnishing the living with a fragile excuse to cling on. Okay, man, I know you've witnessed a lot of death. And I mean a lot, even for someone in the city, but man, are you being a bummer. Didn't know you could be a bummer at a funeral. Are those words from his heart, or just something said to convince himself? Whichever was the truth, I couldn't see the look on his face with his head tucked so low. The funeral didn't last long. It was just a brief moment of silence followed by a few quick goodbyes that were shorter still. The ceremony came to a close once Alyssa, who was still in recovery, came to pay her final respect. Yo, she's alive! I thought she died. I thought she got killed by that damn ring maestro last chapter. Neat to know she is alive at least. Only casualty was Martin. He became teal. And then blew up. The flames devoured the coffins of Martin and the other researchers, announcing the end of their existence with the crackle of firewood. So I suppose you'll be leaving now. Oh. We're staying until Greg is stable enough to travel. Dante says we'll remain here until Gregor's condition settles. Can't he just rewind the clock? I mean, damn. Although he might be still covered in cockroaches. Yeah. Gregor came to his senses again a few days after his unforeseen metamorphosis in the battle against the Sumner's father. He was given a checkup and Hoheim said there is no cause for concern. Physically, that is, the psychological assessment turned up disastrous to say the least. Gregor was declared unfit for combat deployment for the time being. Okay, yeah, you can't really rewind someone's mental state. That does make sense. So you won't be leaving just yet. Good to know. Then I assume you'll be okay with us borrowing Sinclair for a while. Me? Yes, you. The LCE wants to look into the sign you manifested, Sinclair. The higher-ups didn't waste a second green-lighting the project, which means what I'm telling you is more a notice of investigation than a request for permission. Gotta love signing your soul away to the corporation. Gotta love it. What are you... It's just a rather rudimentary instance of human experimentation. Calm yourself. Human experimentation? Did you really have to put it like that, boss? Not to worry, Sinclair. A swipe or two of your skin and maybe some talk therapy, that's all it is to it. Of course, if we had your consent, the avenues of research could be vastly... No, I'm not giving you my consent. For your reference, the other departments have also submitted some quite enthusiastic requests for research and observational purposes. Oh, you have no idea. We had to get Boss to fend off the LCA's Mirror World Observatorium department and their hissy fits. They wanted to be the first ones to get their hands on you and spearhead the research, you see. Oh yeah, because of the other Sinclair. The one from the second Smoke War. And had we allowed them, they'd have kept you for a good few months before letting you go, so the least you could do to thank us is be a good boy and cooperate. Just in time, our researchers are here. Alyssa waved at the researchers who were filing out of the funeral hall after paying their respects. It wasn't long before Sinclair found himself surrounded on all sides. Wait, I'm perfectly capable of walking there on my own. So just don't run any painful tests on me. Of course. Stay strong, Sinclair. All I could do was to offer an unspoken encouragement to Sinclair, who surrounded, ready to collapse in full-blown panic at any minute. What about you? You not going with them? Oh, it's back to the long-term recovery ward for me. I always thought scientific research was the one thing that flamed my passion, but with the recent events having introduced me to the merits of paid sick leave, I realized that time off beats research projects in my books marginally. Enjoy it while it lasts. I highly suspect that every request for PTO submitted by our department will be rejected for the rest of the year. Wait, they get paid time off? Damn, Limbus Company is really good to work for in the city. Probably still not as good as LobCorp was, though. Let's be honest. Well, it's true. Your average corporation doesn't give more than a week of a year. As soon as Alyssa trudged off with her dragging steps, the researchers see Sinclair and carried really him away. Okay. Alright, we should get going too. Oh, do you all have somewhere else to be? Well, I thought I'd go visit Gregor. I'm worried about him. Got something I said I'd help with. Gotta be there for it. I'm going with Sinclair to get some rest. Also to keep an eye on those researchers and stop them if they try anything fishy with the experiments. Ah yes, fish mail preventing the fish. Let me know later if you need anything, Dante. The sinners feigned out in different directions. They seem to have their own errands to run during our stay at the LCE. Everyone's busy with their own thing. Puff. The only ones keeping my company were Ryoshu, who'd been filling the air around sick with cigarette smoke, and Don Quixote, who was sniffing and asking around at every corner of Vespa in a valiant quest for the new color fixer's whereabouts. Faust was still here too, staring blankly into the air, probably communicating with the Is she accessing the Jessel shaft? Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. You seem to have some time to spare, manager. As I stood there wondering what I should do next to pass the time, Hoheim, who had apparently finished tackling and signing the stack of papers, walked over to me. This makes things rather convenient. There is something I had intended to discuss with you and Ryoshu, a matter that requires your assistance. What kind of assistance? WKOA says CH. Wait a minute, did Ryoshu just step in as my interpreter? It's not that I don't appreciate her gestures, especially since she'd usually snap at me and tell me to find someone else to interpret whenever the issue came up. But I can't help but doubt whether her choice method of interpretation actually accomplished anything. Well, I mean, it's better than a clicking clock, at least. Even if it is just the first letter of each sentence. Or whatever. There is, I must admit, a certain novelty in witnessing the reconstitution of which requires intrepidation into yet another lingering form, equivalent demanding of it. It would seem we are in need of more manpower. Scratching his head, Hoheim looked around for a moment before coming to a sudden pause, as though an idea had crossed his mind. At the end of the gaze was a certain someone who was busy badgering LCCA employees with her relentless questioning. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I should be getting a VTuber model next month, hopefully. If all goes well. Or it should be done next month. Oh yeah, I'm not streaming tomorrow because I don't stream on Sundays. Well, yeah, I don't stream Sundays, so there won't be a video tomorrow, but the day after, if I don't finish this Limbus Company chapter, I will be streaming Limbus Company again. Relentless questioning. Who else, pray, might know where he is, if thou knowest not? Now listen closely, the one I seek is a bearer of hair fashioned in the likes of a bowl. You there, why don't you join us too? Dost thou speak of me? The LCCA personnel who were cornered by Don Quixote and a rather forceful interrogation regarding Vesper's whereabouts took the opportunity and fled the scene without so much as a backward glance. A moment their captor turned her head to answer Hoheim. Damn, they really ghosted her. Honestly understandable. Indeed, there is a task that requires your assistance. But I have yet more words to trade with the most noble Yellow Harpoon. You seek to emulate the virtue of chivalry. Does that entail turning down the earnest plea of those in need? For the sake of clarity and distinction, it would be prudent to assign you a different identifier from that of my assistant. You are to be number 2. That is, assistant no 2. I have not yet concluded mine exchange with the Yellow Harpoon, but no true knight would abandon those who call for aid. Pray, speak thy question. How may I be of service to thee? We have just texted you on Discord. Can you please check it for a second? Sure. I will check it. I did not get a single Discord notification on my phone. Weird. What's on this? I'm sorry, but I can't afford to make any commissions like that at the moment. Sorry. As my financials are not the best either. Sorry. Hello. Oh yes, the interval gets cut in half. Help. Roland the grade. Welcome, Roland the grade 9 fixer. Welcome. Yes. Wait, what do you mean you got cut in half? Damn. Well, hopefully Angela brings you back again. Unless she's the one cutting you in half, then, she might just keep you as a book for a while. I wonder what it's like being stuck in a book. But I don't really want to go to the library and, you know, get booked. That's something that I would rather not happen to me. Delegating the interpretation of the manager's speech to Sinafor has proven to be counterproductive. As such, your task will be to report to me what the manager says. Damn. Oh, that is indeed a simple task. However, this WKOA eludes me understanding as well. Prizzy, allow me to but a little time to uncover its mysteries. Relay the manager's words, not Cinerioshus. They are asking you what kind of assistance you need. The request for interpretation was not directed to you, but I cannot deny that your meddling in the present circumstances is a welcome one. It was simply that the irritationally and inefficiency of your suboptimal staffing choice and workflow have become sufficiently unbearable. Faust hopes this was not some guileful scheme devised to elicit Faust cooperation. In any case, manager, this request of mine concerns an invitation into the back doors, located in the House of Spiders. I deemed that the two of you should be the ones most familiar with the structure and layout of the house. After all, you were the ones monitoring the entirety of the five-pronged assault operation, and Cine 4's familiarity does not bear repeating. Do we go to the House of Spiders right away? HOSRI. You have assisted enough. Perhaps you could help Faust. Sure. Although not word for word, Faust relayed my intentions to Hoheim, who responded by shaking his head. Not immediately, no. There is one more member you should bring along. One more member? Seeing me tilt my head, Hoheim pushed up his glasses. The apprentice who was captured alive in the House of Spiders. Yo, she lived! The, fixer-larper lived. Yo. Kira, she has regained consciousness. Yo, the fixer-larper lived. I am happy. I'm gonna quickly grab a mouthful of soft drink. Survivor. The place Hoheim led us to looked like a recovery ward, and more like an interrogation chamber. Well, I mean, she kinda deserves it. Let's be honest. Wonder what's in the IVs. Though every single medical equipment installed around seems to be state of the art. This place looks well equipped. Probably a direct order from upper management. Although technologies to restore lost body parts are common enough in the city, a facility of this kind is required to preserve the original form of her lower body in the reconstruction process while keeping the cost reasonable. Reasonable, huh? Do I want to ask how expensive the other options are if this counts as reasonable? Windowless room, sick with the sharp scent of medicine and chemicals. Kira was sitting on the bed at the center of the room, kicking her feet as she regarded us. Damn, they covered her tattoos. For someone recovering from bisection, she didn't look very different from how she'd appeared when I'd seen her last, seen her through the sinner's shared vision. Damn, Dante can see through the sinner's eyes? That sounds like a headache. She was captured alive for the extraction of information. Yes, how far along is the process for the extraction? It hasn't yet begun, actually. We are waiting until the lines of information that warrant questioning can be isolated. So far, all available personnel have been fully engaged in analyzing the documents and items discovered in the House of Spiders. Then, what you're even doing here? There is work to be done, contingent upon information obtained only from a recent inhabitant of the House of Spiders. And following a discussion with the upper management, I have decided to put you to use as the company had originally intended. No TV, no comic books, just a super prickly glare and a cold shoulder whenever I ask for something to pass the time. And now you suddenly need my help? Give me one reason I should cooperate. Hoheim didn't so much as twitch an eyebrow at Kira's biting tone. He merely gave her a nod with a sternly imperturbable expression. I didn't ask for your help, put you to use, I believe is what I said. You could at least offer to give her, like, one comic book. What? Your survival is not incidental. It is the result of a calculation the company anticipates a potential profit by keeping you alive. Expected gain, as the term goes. Without such a forecast on the company's part, you would have already been disposed of. The upper management consists of people who would be disinclined to tolerate the daily maintenance and depreciation costs of this room, even at half their current numbers. Which brings us to our next point. Should you insist on maintaining this uncooperative attitude, the company may decide to convene a meeting to reassess your worth, or shall we say lack therefore of, in the projection income statement. Well, sufficient to say that such a reassessment would skew heavily against your favour. The outcome would be a recommendation for immediate disposal. Hoheim always had a way with words that could prickle and sting. But with Kira, it almost felt as if he had traded the usual thorn of a sharp knife, intent on twisting it right where it hurt. He's just telling her the truth, to be honest. If she doesn't cooperate, the company's gonna kill her. Like, seriously, they're not gonna keep her alive if she doesn't provide any use. The fact she was even allowed to be alive so far is kind of a mercy. I'm just kind of pausing for a second. Sorry. I'm dead meat as soon as my usefulness runs out anyway. It's not like you're gonna let me live, not after I killed a bazillion of your guys. So you anticipated some sort of cooperative level retaliatory response against your person. That is indeed a curious line of reasoning. Then I must tell you that unlike your typical backstreet syndicate, such as the middle, corporate entities of the city tend to avoid choices that may incur losses. The value of the information that could be extracted from an apprentice of the middle, and the combat prowess honed under the tutelage of a great brother of the middle. These two considerations are likely what increased your value in the eyes of the company. You've got zero self-respect, huh? You should consider yourself fortunate. Huh? The heck are you on about? Other companies would not solicit your cooperation by means of verbal exchange. Your interrogator would simply open your cranium, harvest your brain, and extract any and all necessary information without going through intermediate steps such as this. Even without resorting to such methods, the range of available means to compel the disclosure of information is practically limitless. Truth serums, hypnosis, suggestic, electrical shock and stimulation, and of course, procedures utilizing distortions and abnormalities. That being said, the LCE department prefers to distance itself from such uncivilized approaches that may entail complications and after effects. I do hope that we share a similar predilection. Oh, I gave you a response. Sorry, I tried to give you a response verbally. So let me go there and check. Do, 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 do. Yeah. You're so frickin' annoying, you know that, mister? The feeling is entirely mutual. Leaving the biting chill of his threats to sink in, Hoheim turned towards the exit. Give her some push and bring her along. I don't quite seem to be myself today. No disregard that. That, too, was a rather foolish thing to say. I will defer this matter to you, manager. Work of this sort likely falls more within your capabilities than my own. And with that, Hoheim stepped out of the room, leaving me to deal with Kira. His reaction was understandable. The LCE had only just finished laying its dead researchers to rest. Kira was probably the last person anyone would want to face right now, much less speak to. What should I even say to persuade her? Puff. I was still caught in thought when someone quite unexpectedly made her way to Kira. Yoshihide? You heard. You got stabbed in the back by Martius. That's not true. Papa wasn't landing a fatal blow unless he cut through me too. That's why he did exactly that, to aim for the enemy's head. Besides, he made the right choice. A little sacrifice ain't a thing in a family. Huh, family. Coming from him, a middle mutt throwing out of his kennel. Doesn't it sound ridiculous even to you? That's... thrown out? That fucker Martian was a GB, only by technicality. He fucked up badly. He was still family by name, but underneath it, everyone hoped he'd disappear quickly, on his own. He was family member nobody wanted around. Okay, I'm checking. Yeah, okay, so this may not be entirely correct, but what I remember was he killed a grand brother, as well as another great sister. Because, they found a relic, and he wanted it for himself, so he killed the two siblings. One of them that was the same rank, one of them that outranked him. And I think they may have actually been siblings by blood as well, not just by the middle. Same treatment for me, being his brat, not surprising in the ST. For the bowl cut too. Same taste? Oh, young Yoshu, could it be that thou also dost harbour a passionate zeal for... I quickly clapped a hand over Don Quixote's mouth as she smoothly chimed into the conversation. Yeah, probably best. So what exactly is your point? The point is, you're taking too long. If you can't decide whether you want to live or die, I can shorten your hesitation. CQ, or I'll sink you right this instance. Slice you nice and clean. Slice your... Oh, slice your neck clean. This instance. Huh. What does that mean? Cooperate quietly, or I'll snap your neck completely right this instance. Oh, well, I guess my translation was wrong. In the end, huh. I guess I ain't no Sinclair. But that makes sense. I ain't no twink. That is gonna be great out of context for a clip. SYNC isn't such a bad way to go if you're keen on taking the loyalty act straight to the grave. Huh. This is so crappy. Whatever, I get it, okay. I'll take it if that's what you want so bad. That's actually worked. Fixers who go out in a blaze of glory aren't actually the strong ones. It's the ones who survive, the ones who live to see another day and keep getting stronger. Anyway, Yoshihide, that's what's up with you taking this weird ass abbreviations. Like sync, that's so random. Who even says that? Ryoshu didn't bother to reply and simply chewed on the mouth end of her cigarette. But is this really the right call to her? We're probably people she needs to settle the score with. As if. Half her tattoos are gone, clock. They even confiscated her book. You think the middle sorry excuse for loyalty means so much for this stray that she'd bite us? I mean, yeah. Actually, the book would probably be very good to research, considering its interesting properties. Besides, no better hear this from her instead. Hey, tell me why Marson kicked the bucket. That's cause Papa was weaker than you. Huh. Yeah, you're the jerks, Brad, alright. Kira pushed herself up from the bed with a sore face, but at least she didn't argue back. And we called Hoheim, who'd been waiting outside, back in. She's probably lost a few millimeters off her body, a tiny bit shorter. I assume the prisoner was successfully persuaded. Come, you will find your weapon on the table. You may use it in the event of an emergency. What the hell? I can't even unsheath it. You won't be able to use it without authentication. The code has been slightly adjusted. Now, then, let us head to the House of Spiders at once. The back door is up and waiting for us. We made our way to the House of Spiders, with Kira trailing behind us. Looks like she was smelling something particularly fishy on us. Yeah, she's probably expecting us to cut her in half, like her dad did. The 21-year-old daughter, at minimum. Wayfarer. So I can't use you. Yep. Yeah, you give plus even though I don't have you leveled up. Wait, what? You should give extra. You're literally coming. Yeah, this looks good to me. Level 58, I do not care. Only a few days have passed since our last visit, but the place looks marginally different from what we remembered at the beginning of the pack-up. The sight of the hollow, frigid atmosphere and the endless stretch of corridors hadn't changed. But Callisto's so-called artworks were now covered in white sheets, and unfamiliar devices were affixed all around the back doors. Prizzy, who might these people Seraph be? Looks like some shady bastard moved in already. Our guarded reaction prompted Hoheim to step forward and gesture to one of the oddly dressed figures. It seems introductions are in order for both sides. This is team leader Alan from Wayfarer Company, who will be working with us on the investigation into the house's back doors. Wayfarer Company? Oh yes, the people that want to replace W Corp. The backdoor transport people. The people that I will prefer. A corporate entity partnered with Limbus Company responsible for providing portal technology. It has on prior occasions been referred to as new or aspiring W Corp through the name is an unofficial one. Our employees also have taken to calling you the new L Corp. Something we have in common, given that we're both chasing after the same horizon. I remember that company Vierning to take W Corp's place, right? The same horizon. He's probably talking about getting recognized as a wing. After all, the old L Corp has already fallen, while W Corp, from what I've heard, is free falling at this point. And these are the manager and the sinners of the LCB department, our field operations unit frequently deployed to deal with on-site matters firsthand. They have more personnel, but the rest are tied up with other duties elsewhere. Only a handful will be joining this investigation effort. I understand field operations units are almost always understaffed anyway. The support you've provided is more than sufficient. Alan gave an understanding nod. The man slipped off his bulky helmet before extending his hand in greeting. Damn. Pleased to meet your acquaintance. The name's Alan, leader of Door Breach Team 4. Likewise. Before Fowles could even relay my scripted greeting, words spilled out of Alan's mouth in a staggering unnevinism, as if my ticking didn't bother him at all, like he was sticking to a script that had rehearsed. I've heard great things about you, Manager Dante of Limbus Company, and the bus team's performance. You capitalized on the suppression of distortions at T-Corp as leverage to push your products, and the profits were nothing short of staggering, I heard. To be fair, we sold a monolith, a thing capable of distorting people. That shit's expensive. So yeah, profits were good that day. I actually like this piano rhyme. This is a very nice piano rhyme. Oh yeah, we're supposed to be distortion resolving specialists to the public, but what's the product part about? The manager says it was merely a matter of luck. They also look forward to working with you on this task. Are you the interpreter? In that case, I'll be sure to consult the manager only when both of you are available. Sure. Faust didn't seem particularly pleased with the role Alan had pinned on her, but she nodded anyway. They really should make a damn translator. Like, damn. They can hear us. They can't. Give them a headset or something that lets them listen to me. Like, seriously. Damn. She quietly came to my side and answered my earlier question while Alan carried on with Hoheim. He is referring to the monolith sales project. The credit was attributed to LCB at the express request of Mr. Hubert, T Corp's executive director. Damn. We got an executive director on our side. That's good. Oh, so that's how the rumor spread, huh? We've reviewed the agreement. Now I understand you'll be assisting in verifying what lies beyond the back doors. I'd appreciate it if you could share any prior knowledge you have about where these back doors connect, as detailed as you can make them, if you don't mind. Hoheim fixed Kira with a pointed look, though Kira responded by defaultly cooking her head in a show of irritation. She still gave up a sliver of the information she had. Honestly, I've got pretty much nothing if it's about Robo-Unk and his room. I mean, I've seen Albina hit up the door and the others one over there when she was popping out the farm stuff, but... Farm? Oh, it's, gathering materials. Ah, I see. What kind of materials? Human guts and all that. She'd come back hauling piles of them. So they'll probably connect to some back streets area. The back streets? Any more details? Can you stop prying? You're low-key pissing me off. What? That's literally all I've got for real. For a moment, Alan leveled Kira with a stiff expression. And even before I could register what had happened, Kira's head jerked to the side for a sudden punch by Alan. Deserved. I saw Kira was nimble enough to dodge a surprise attacker easily, but this one seemed to have caught her complete off guard. She stood there, blinking eyes round in rude surprise. Actually, it wasn't that he caught her off guard, it was the motion of the punch itself that somehow fell off. The fist being raised, the arm being extended, the blow making contact, the chain of actions was there, but it just didn't look normal. Did you just hit me? What the hell wrong with you? Okay. As Kira reeled from the unexpected strike, Don Quixote spoke up in a cold, sharp tone. Thou, what manner of discovery is this? With all that whining, I thought the brat could use a lesson to remind her of her place. I had no intentions of damaging your company's asset, of course. I simply assumed the level of warning would not be inappropriate in this case. Team leader, Alan. That sort of conduct may not be an issue in your organization, but it is here. Should it happen again, do understand we may choose to terminate today's joint engagement without delay. My apologies, I will keep that in mind going forward. Alan stood down without arguing back, but Kira looked far from satisfied with how Hoheim handled the situation. He gets to sock me in the face and walk off scot-free? So freaking annoying. What do you expect? You're being a brat. You're like in a full-on adult. You're older than me. Fortunately enough, her grumbling didn't escalate into her lashing out at Alan. That punch just now, though, what was that? It exhibited a behavior that defied the standard law of physics. Presumably a form of technology utilized by Wayfarer Company. Let us resume the task at hand. Ryoshu, give Manager Alan whatever information you have. Puff. That door should lead to one of the ring's projected turfs. The other two on the left, I remember, they were marked with an X painted with blood. But HNI, where they actually lead, it's a blur. It seems that's all the information we can provide. Will that suffice? We now know that the doors likely connect to a perceivable area that's already a big improvement in terms of intel for Wayfarer Company's backdoor mapping process. Which means there's less chance of us encountering a space beyond human perception past those doors. Alright then, I'll proceed with connection verification. Which door shall we test first? Well, start with the one scenario she mentioned. Hey, you don't trust me at all, huh? Then why even bring me along? Ignoring Kira's jab, Alan began setting up various devices on the door, and soon an elegant white door opened before us. Shall we? Art thou joining us as well, young Hoheim? Just this once, there are procedures for handing over field operations. Okay, let's see what's in there. Damn, this looks interesting. What the... Is this some kind of wildlife exhibit? The moment we stepped in, the light hit us all at once, drawing squints and frowns from the sinners. Thanks to my lack of physical eyes, I could make out a room filled with statues or perhaps taxidermied animals. That is most definitely a whale from the lakes. Damn, they got gorillas still? That's a neat-ass snake. Can't make out what that is. That's a bear claw. No idea what that is. That's a goat. That's a croc or an alligator. That's some kind of deer. That's... I'm not even gonna guess. I felt like a gallery of sorts, but it was so quiet that the air itself seemed to carry a strange, somber weight. After a moment, someone shattered the silence, but it wasn't Don Quixote or our usual suspect. Holy shit, the scale is just insane. That's the whale from 8 Associations Great Lakes special issue. Kira, who'd seemed beaten down all along, exclaimed with a bit more energy in her voice. Man, seeing it in real life sure hits different, and the Indigo Elder solo one shot though these monsters with that harpoon of his, huh? It's a Great Lake whale. Doesn't look like the one we've encountered though. Organisms of various sources can be identified here. Singularity modified outskirt spawn. They look almost alive. They're not, right? No, they're not. Though Robo-Unk did say that the ring has these zoos where they put monsters on display alive. Man, this would have been way more fun if we could see the moving ones. Everything here's dead, meh. Still looks crazy sick though, the vibe really hits. Even though she was trying to play it cool, Kira kept sneaking glances at the massive horn display off to the side, clearly surprised in the way she couldn't hide. That said, I felt a distinct shortage of hyperactivity given the presence of a certain someone in our party. Don Quixote, the eye of a second kindred of House Temps. What is it doing here? At the mention of the word kindred, I couldn't help but follow Don Quixote's gaze. Opposite the whale was another kind of exhibit. It contained items leaning on the more gruesome side of things, starting with a crimson eyeball that caught Don Quixote's attention, and body parts like hands and bones that looked as though they had been stripped from the human body. It's a gallery of the School of Fervorism, probably a main studio at that, which comes with a maestro's atelier and an auction house. I'm gonna quickly grab a drink, just to help my throat. But damn, they got a second kindred on display? That's impressive. Wonder how they got it. Like, was it... Well, Don Quixote knows of the house, so... They may have given it they may have given it, out of their own free will. Oh, g'day Karumi. Welcome to the stream. You have joined at a interesting stream. We are currently in an art gallery of living creatures. Alan. We will be making our exit shortly. Prepare to initiate lockdown sequence. Before Homeham could even finish his urgent transmission, numerous footsteps closed in from somewhere nearby. Yo, more ring members! Hell yeah, I love seeing the ring. Hey yo, is that a Wendigo? Like, damn. No, I cannot speak Japanese now. I have not been able to get lessons or anything. Turning towards the sound of shoes clacking on the floor, we found strange figures wearing animal masks staring directly at us. I haven't been able to afford to get any lessons or anything, so my knowledge on Japanese is still, very not good. That presence is kinda like Papa's. Ain't no way, that's not a raid boss we can clear at our level. We gotta get out of here. It's not that simple. Retreating is not a viable solution here. This door is connected to the House of Spiders. Escaping without installing a secret system will invite pursuit. We must stall them until Alan is ready to initiate the lockdown sequence. As tension sickened, one of the strangers, who was peculiar bone mask, stepped forward. Hey yo, the Wendigo's about to talk. Damn. The voice that spoke to us carried equal parts curiosity and delight. I can kinda recognize some of those characters, but not enough to translate them, sorry. You came through that door. Then the house is full. Wasn't just a boneless rumor. A stray little spiderling fallen from her parents' web. How many years has it been? You, who are you? Right, it makes sense that you would fail to recognize me. I used to wear a different mask back when I used to visit as your tutor, didn't I? A wolf, if memory serves right. Yes, that must have been when I was quite captivated by the sensation of tearing into the raw, still thrashing flesh of living prey, and the predator's ferocity, yet carnivorous, resonant howling. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that, Kurumi. Rings a bell. You're the maestro whose whole lesson was a 3-hour sermon praising the intensity of primary colors and the strengths of living creatures, Benoit, was it? That's right, Emil Beloit. And they say you can't hatch a phoenix from a chicken's egg. Doesn't always apply, I see. Looks like that mind of yours is still sly as a raven, unlike your nurse fathers. Don't presume. I only remember you because the tactility of hides and guts made for a passable artwork. At first glance, it looked like Ryoshi was casually taking a trip down memory lane with the maestro. But I had a feeling she was in fact dragging this out on purpose to buy us time. That lockdown sequencing, how long till it's ready? Young Hoheim, the lockdown sequence. Don Quixote, who had been shouting the ring members, an incensed glare sparked by the discovery at a kindred's eye, swiftly relayed my words to Hoheim without even a hint of her earlier shenanigans. I'm afraid the progress and speed of the lockdown sequence lies in Alan's hands, not mine. It is by its nature a time-consuming work. We cannot expect haste. Perhaps that doesn't make this a suitable junction to trial Plan A. Plan A? Any suggestion that involves Don Quixote removing her shoes will not be dignified with a serious discussion. Instead, Maybe what Hoheim had in mind had nothing to do with Don Quixote's shoes, because he opened his mouth as though he was about to retort to Faust's categorical rejection. But the moment he followed Faust's eyes and saw what she was looking at, he quietly shut his mouth and said nothing further. Faith in potentiality is not something I dislike. As for this, however, this seems more like grasping at straws. At the end of their gaze was Ryoshi's blade, Arayashiki. I was going to try using it anyway. I've long wanted to see if a maestro's death is any different. Telling him that we were just leaving won't work, will it? No, it won't. Every individual present here would be quite the fascinating specimen to the artists of the ring. We are practically a windfall of inspiration and materials that has so conveniently been delivered to them. It is improbable that they will allow us to return unharmed. Faust is right, she and Hoheim are geniuses, and Ryoshi is the wielder of Arashiki. Don Quixote is a kindred of a higher generation, and I happen to be House of Golden Bows in my head. I have no idea how much information the ring has on us, but even if they knew nothing, they wouldn't let us go easily. Are you sure about this, Ryoshi? Doesn't matter if I'm SAT or not, Clock. Think of that woman as Li Hang, and do as you did in HC's manner. I'll take care of the rest. Right, that's probably our best shot. What Ryoshi meant was quite clear. Resonate with the golden bows, secure an advantage to fight on equal footing and catch them off guard by slowing down the flow of time. And cut from the Arashiki, even if it doesn't give us a real fighting chance, might at least stall the maestro long enough to give us the time to get away. This floor of the exhibit only houses submissions from students and docents. But if you look closely enough, there are some passable ones that show the promise of excellence. And above all, this is the gallery of the School of Fervorism. And mine, the gallery of Amelia Benoit. Which is why I would have preferred to take you without an unnecessary fight if possible. A shame. Still, we're talking about a unique relic here, a masterless one at that. Acquiring the Arashiki makes it worth the cost. If you want a taste. Confusion flickered across Ryoshi's face as she tried to unsheath her blade. What's the matter? How? The lock the House of Spiders used to buy an Arashiki no longer exists, so why? Why can't I draw the blade? Now that's unexpected. So the rumors of you mastering the relic, were they false? The maestro only gave a loose swing of her arm, but it was enough to make Ryoshi recoil. A shadow of surprise crossed her face. That wound looked like nothing more than a light gash, yet the maestro's contemplative gaze shifted between the blood on Ryoshi's arm and her own, as though the attack had been an experiment to prove the hypothesis. It wasn't hard to guess what she was thinking. Noticed, didn't you? I had my doubts from the moment I saw you today. Was the House of Spiders a success or a failure? Tell me, Yoshihide, what do you think a serpent's defining strength is? What are you on about now? Any student and they'll give the same predictable answer. The deadly venom, the sleek scales, why it's lamentable disappointment. I would say the body's movement and its muscles, to be honest. The ability to move without legs is quite fascinating. The maestro advanced towards us with an assured certainty. then seized a being shred dangling from the ceiling. No, calling it a mere shred would be wrong. It was something that resembled a shred, yet felt much more disturbing. I, for one, have a particular liking for the jaw and the spine. The flexibility of the spine linked like a chain, and the jaw bound not by bone, but by ligaments that allow the animal to swallow its prey whole. Perhaps I should have said that. I admire the structural refinement. The thick coiled ring on her finger gave off a cold glint, and the walls and the ceiling suddenly began to echo with the sickening squelch and crack of flesh and bones trembling. What the hell is that? Oh, it's censored. Which brings me to ask, what better way to claim this delivery of promising materials with a single bite than a work of art fashioned from a snake? The maestro plunged her arm into the long serpent's body for a moment. Her sheer presence radiated a pressure as opposite as the nurse father's, only more primal and untempered. Consider it a privilege. This is the first time this piece has ever been exhibited to an outsider. Hoheim, is the lockdown sequence still not ready? 1 minute to go, step aside. The attack from the ego gear Hoheim hastily brandished didn't even last a moment. The weapon was knocked from his hand. As I scrambled to equip the sinners with their identity, something abrupt stopped the beast-like appendage midway through the hurting motion, and the one who intercepted the blow was Kira, struggling to push back against the serpentine arm with her still sealed blade. Kira! Did she suddenly have a change of heart I wasn't aware of? This wasn't the plan at all. Obviously not. She couldn't have changed her mind that quickly, because the look on her face could be anything other than of utter regret. The middle, for someone who didn't seem to be a proper member, you're inked quite the quantity of tattoos onto yourself. You must have been the new Kit Marson token. Why do you stand in my way? Fucked if I know, I'm already regretting it. Alright. Damn it, they're defo gonna ditch me here, why'd I even? Must be instinct taking over. Couldn't fully shake off the opponent's killing intent, so the body chose to clash head on. So the behavioral facet of the site can be controlled with suitable training, unexpected data, but useful to be sure. Shut it, mister. Quit yapping and let me use my blades. Authorized and ready. Lifting locks now. Kira's thermal weapons emerged from their sheaths with a metallic clang. She used the recoil of the motion to skid back and assume a defensive stance. Naturally, that broke Bennett's arm from the deadlock as well. The maestro lashed out against with a monstrous limb, but... Huh? 'Tis a foul injustice to strike against an unprepared opponent in a duel. Behold, for I shall allow thee a glimpse of the badass from the one most renowned of fixers have displayed throughout the ages. Seeing an opponent, Don Quixote slammed into the arm. am back. I just realized my mic was still muted. Yay. Seeing an opening, Don Quixote slammed into the arm with her full might, knocking it off its trajectory. Predictably, however, the sheer force of the Maestro's attack instantly reduced her to a red sludge of flesh and bone, sending her remaining crushing into the door. Ready to initiate lockdown sequence, I will seal the door immediately upon your exit. Everyone to the door. Faust, retrieve the organic remains of Sinistry. 2 others. As Faust made her exit with that was Don Quixote, the students of the ring surrounded Kira, burying her way out. A hollow chuckle slipped out of her lips. Called it for real. This is exactly why I didn't want to get involved. Taking Kira back with us would mean having a sizable force of the ring tail right behind her through the door. Kira too seemed to have realized the risk no one in their right mind would want to take. She lowered her head in defeat, as though she knew full well the fate that awaited her. I'm such a dumbass. What was I thinking diving in like that? You don't just stand there, get over here now. But these guys are gonna come flooding in if I... You, TTM, want to get cleaved in half again? You pin this on me later, you're gonna pay. Blocking the Maestro's arm by a hair as it came down on her again, Kira hurled herself towards the door with every bit of strength she could muster. More than a few students rushed in through the door, chasing after the sinners who had gone in ahead, but lockdown sequence complete. All backdoor links had been cut. Fortunately, Alan managed to sever the connection between 2 back doors before the Maestro could cross over. Bolcut, think you can still use your arm? I'm fine. She says. So she says. Kira would be a strong enough addition to fight for us, but the ring member that have managed to cross formed a rather sizable force. Fighting them off with just the sinners I have on my side would not be the best course of action. In that case. Guys, I assume you're all available right now. As soon as I called out to the sinners, their voices came through Hoheim's radio one after another. I guess so. Ready for your orders, Executive Manager Otis, and prepared to answer your call whenever and whenever. Hang on, I just need to finish this bite. Everyone to me! Okay, no, those were some kind of tassels, not sensors. Never mind, I was wrong. Anyway, let's go. Malkuth. Favored, no, but I gotta follow the prescript though. Follow the prescript. Yeah, follow the prescript. Wait, I want to take a look at you. Skills, time for some warm-up. Totally badass ass kicking. Disemboweling. Crossing, devish. Violent break slam. The middle, grudge on self. Consume all grudge. Okay. Sanity. Panic type fervor. The moral effect, gain 2 defense. Basic factors. Okay, neat. Neutral is really the only option. There we go. The prescript has been followed.
매뉴얼을 만들어두길 잘했네. 그렇게만 해. 세피라들도 결국
Here we go.
내
Follow
편에 설
prescript,
수밖에 없을
prescript,
거야.
that
나도
prescript,
그들도
red, that, and those. So we get a 4 resonance of gloom. Looks like the prescript was on our side.
새삼스럽지만 꽤 괜찮네. 초복이야.
필연적 절대적.
Here we go.
재밌네. 난 너희가 좀 더 어설플 거라고 생각했거든.
남았어도 그 정도쯤은.
여기까지 와서 망설일 생각은
Well, I mean,
하지
we could have
않았으면
called
좋겠어. 사람을
Gregor in
죽이고
with
싶지 않았다면
Malkuth, but meh.
너희도 세피라들도 처음부터 거래를 하지 말았어야지.
Yeah, let's go purple.
예측할 수 없게.
$14, $17, neat. There we go, unlocked.
초월.
이미
지령에게
우리는
불확실한
손에
것은
많은 피를
없네.
묻혔잖아.
Yet another prescript.
영영 늘어난다고
네.
달라지는 건 없어.
That. Let's go double purple. That. That. Prescript must be followed.
아이씨, 짜증나게.
먹기 좋게 차려졌지 않나.
자, 흔들려. 미래를 과거와 같이.
불만을 해소해준 보람이
There we
있는.
go. And we're almost done.
지금처럼 적들을 성공적으로 이끌다 보면 앞으로 더 많은 층을 개방하고 더 많은 보조사서의 도움을 받을 수 있을 거야.
There we go.
먹기 좋게 차려졌지 않나.
운명적인 죽음일세.
And completed.
유익한 책이 또 하나 늘었네. 도시에는 내가 모르는 것들이 많아.
It's only the first door and the impediments are already beyond expected levels. I swear I thought that was it for me back there. Events of this nature won't be frequent. We were merely beset by ill luck. If you're just listening to me and picked another door, we wouldn't have gone cooked like that in the first place. Like, why even drag me into this if you weren't gonna trust me, weirdos? We would have opened them all at the end of the day, SD. SD, what's that? What's that? Same difference. Again, why shorten it like that? Just say duh or something, or spell it out and say it was anticipated. That's WA. Good work, everyone. Well, Wayfarer doesn't have a team dedicated to this sort of task, but the morality rate is quite high, honestly. I was bracing myself for the worst. The odds of completing the first door of an expedition without any casualties are under 25%. This, by all measures, counts as a flawless expedition. Tapping away on his device, Alan addresses us with a amicable smile. He seemed totally different from the same man who had manhandled Kira with a fist to her face. those furtherists would have been able to cross over, won't be able to cross over anymore with the door completely locked down, right? That cannot be asserted without certainty. Are you saying more might come? The corridor and the back doors have always been the ring's turf clock, and those furthest beasts have endured as long-standing faction within the ring. If they've got that much history, they must know many back doors, both the original and destination points. A line clarified with Ryoshu was hinting at. Yes, compared to them, we lack sufficient knowledge of alternate routes, which makes it difficult to prevent infiltration. No need to concern yourselves over much. Even if that were the case, it is unlikely they would move on the House of Spiders so soon. They could always rush for a surprise attack though. Even that furthest maestro seemed to lack clear intel on the events that took place of the House of Spiders. If so, it follows that they will need time to assess the deliberate about the situation. The logical scope of their concerns will be identified. The organization has secured the House of Spiders the possibility of additional traps beyond the back door and the likes. Once all backdoor related procedures tied to the House of Spiders are complete, the resulting security framework would be able to preempt and block any infiltration attempts. This opportunity is more important than I thought. Puff. That aside, why couldn't I draw the blade? Is it the new scabbard's fault? Ryoshu lifted the sheathed sword with an irritated frown, and that's when I felt a faint vibration. The blade was twitching ever so slightly. Quivering so faintly, twist seen by all indeed. Damn, I saw it too. Is it possible for something? Looks like I wasn't the only one who saw the sword twitching, as though it wasn't pleased at all with how Ryoshu talked about the scabbard. Ryoshu's gaze lingered on the sword before slowly shifting towards the back doors. Could it be that seeing the scabbard brought back some memories of Araya? Ryoshu, do you? Is it an SS? A demon's edge? An enchanted blade? Which is it? It's probably neither of those, nor is it a sentient sword. This presents a fine opportunity to conduct another examination of the sword. Excuse us for a moment, Team Leader Alan. Please feel free to go ahead. The attack just now damaged some devices, so we're going to have to perform some maintenance before continuing. There's plenty of other work for me to do while you're away too. Are we to return to the headquarters research facility then? No, that won't be necessary. There is a facility here that should provide more than adequate. Okay, this has been short, but I'm going to end the stream here, sorry. My throat is hurting way more than I thought it would be from just this. To be honest, I will have to prepare throat lozenges and stuff for next time. Wait. Oh, there's only one left. Damn. Oh, well, let's get these tickets. And we can use them on Faust. I haven't fully upgraded her yet. Oh well. Ow.
예술가로 살아가려면 좀 더
inventory.
일찍 일어나는 편이 좋답니다.
Click that.
이른 아침은
Open.
전시 준비를 하면서
Rodion. You know what, let's do a one pull to end the stream. We got nothing. Anyway, thank you all for coming. I've been clutchskelly, and I hope to see you Monday for more Limbus Company. Goodbye.